Welcome to the Fit Dad Nation podcast, forging strong fathers and raising a stronger generation. It's time to get up or shut up with your host, Steve Roy.
Hey guys, this is Steve Roy, host of the Fit Dad Nation podcast. Welcome to the show. Thank you for listening. Before we get into the show, I want to invite every man who is listening to this. If you are not where you want to be from a fitness standpoint, get help. You've probably heard this before, but if you could do this on your own, you probably would be already, and that's not a bad thing. I've hired many coaches over the years. I still actually hire coaches all the time, even to write my workout programs. So there's no shame in that. A lot of us get caught up in our egos and think that we have to do it ourselves. We don't. I'm telling you right now. First of all, men thrive in tribes. That's the reason why we do everything in groups right now, is because of the power behind the tribe. So if you need help, do not be afraid to ask for it. And you can apply to our free Facebook group, which is called the Fit Dad Base Camp. And that link is fitdadnation.com/community. So one of the biggest excuses that I've heard over the years, and I've been doing this for a long time, since 1997, and I have heard it more so now that I work specifically with dads with the Fit Dad Nation, is I don't have enough time to train. And so I want to address that today because it's holding a lot of you back. I do surveys all the time. I've posted questions many times, and usually there's a pretty large percentage of men who answer one of their biggest struggles is not enough time. And so, a couple thoughts here. First of all, yes, there are legitimately some people who have zero free time. Those guys that are working 16-hour days, double jobs, two or three jobs even. This is not necessarily for you. I mean, there are some different strategies, but this is for most of us who work, typical 9-to-5 jobs. Maybe you have a commute, but we all are dealing with the same shit. We all have busy lives, right? We all have kids. Many of whom are in sports. My girls are now in multiple activities, and it's not uncommon. I've said this before is, none of us have time, and you've heard it. We need to make the time, but I want to give you some concrete ideas on how to do that today, because seriously, it's really holding us back. And again, I've heard this many times, and it's easy to convince ourselves we don't have enough time, and that's just a kind of a mechanism that we use to make an excuse and to justify it. And, I call bullshit on it. It's not true. I've worked 16, 17-hour days. I've busted my ass like nobody's business, but there's always time. There really is. So, I'm gonna go through some things that I've seen work in my own life, in my clients' lives, and friends and people that I know, and so I want to share some of those things. And I'm going to skip the obvious stuff like get up a half an hour earlier, get up an hour earlier, right? You already know that. So I'm going to talk about some things that maybe you're just not thinking about, and hopefully one or two resonate with you, and then you can incorporate it, and you'll make some changes, because the next month will turn into a year, which will turn into 5 years, which turns into a decade, and you're still making the same excuses. And we're not getting any younger, right? I'm 48, I'll be 49, in just actually a few months. A lot of you guys are in your 40s, and man, time flies, and it's scary, but literally you start making excuses and putting things off, time just disappears. You're going to wake up one day, you're going to be 55, 60 years old, and it's going to be a completely different game for you now. So now, seriously, now is your time. And it's not just, a quote, now is your best time to take action. No, it's true. Think about it. I mean, it's different when you're 22, 23, 28, whatever. You feel like you have your entire life ahead of you. Now, we have to look at our mortality. We really do. And I think about it all the time. It terrifies me, thinking, holy shit, man, I'm more than halfway through my life. So let me get to some reasons. So I would say probably one of, if not the most powerful reason or way to find time, is to find a deep, emotionally charged reason that you want to train. So I'm not talking about, when I'm talking about this list, I'm not talking about just general exercise like walking. I'm talking about training, resistance training. So unless you have that deep reason that really resonates within you, that's kind of driving you to get out of bed and driving you to keep making changes, you're going to struggle. And I've talked about this before. Yes, there's a great deal of power in self-discipline and habits, right? But I've found that having a really powerful why, as in why do I want to train? Like, what's my reason? A lot of people don't like training. They're just not enjoyable. They don't want to go into the gym. They don't want to lift weights. But obviously the research is out there. We know the benefits, and especially as we start getting older, you have to, use resistance training for bone mass density, for lean muscle, right, to boost our testosterone. There's obviously a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to benefit from by doing this. So it's absolutely essential, regardless of your current condition. So in order to find your why, you're going to have to do some thinking, right? You can't just hear this and say, oh, I want to do it for my kids. Well, there's my why. It's not as simple as that. That may be the reason, but more likely than not, it's something much more powerful, much more personal. And sometimes we don't even want to look at it. Like, we don't want to look introspectively and think about what it is that really is going to motivate us. Maybe it's a scary place to go in our minds. Maybe you put that part of you aside and you don't want to think about it. That's certainly possible. Part of my why, not all of it, but I was bullied throughout school. I was really skinny, dorky. I just didn't fit in socially. I had very few friends. I didn't date at all, even through high school. It wasn't until I was out of high school I even kissed a girl. Like, I was just really socially awkward, and I was picked on, and I had a lot of problems with confidence, like a lot, because I felt like I was going to get my ass kicked every day. It's either 7th or 8th grade now. I don't honestly remember, but I do remember the year itself just being horrible, going to bed just terrified of the next day, waking up thinking, is tomorrow going to be the day that I got my ass kicked? And it was different back then. There was no bullying. That wasn't even a thing. It was, you're going to get your ass kicked or you're not, right? People met out in the playground or the courtyard and they fought hand to hand, no weapons or anything like that. And, I was terrified of this bigger kid. And so it really fucked with my confidence over the years. And so part of me, wanted to get bigger and muscular and have, feel good about myself and have the confidence. And that played a role in how I got started back in my 20s, that's there's a lot of things that go into it. But for you, think about it. Really think about what it could be. Like, what is maybe it's something as simple as challenging yourself. You sign up for a marathon or a 5K or whatever, or a ruck or a Spartan race, and that's your motivator. Or maybe you want to have a competition with your buddies, see who can get the fittest. Or maybe you want to do something with your spouse. Maybe you want to, maybe you just want to live longer because your parents died when they were in their early 60s, and you don't want to die that early. You want to live until your 80s or beyond. So that's a very personal thing, but think about it, because that's going to play a huge role. It really will. So think about that. Okay. I'll say number 2 is do something. And again, I'm talking about resistance training. But if you hate going to the gym, and I've had clients that hate the gym for whatever reason, the environment, the people, they just feel out of place. They feel like they're being judged. That's common. Obviously, Planet Fitness has built their model around that, people feeling judged. Right? It's been extremely successful. But whatever the reason is, if you think that you have to be in the gym every day, lifting those heavy weights, being around all those knuckleheads, it's not going to take too long before you find a way to convince yourself you don't need to go anymore. You're going to make excuses. You're going to procrastinate. You're going to say, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough whatever, right? Then you're going to quit. So you have to find something that you enjoy. So you have to find an activity, and again, ideally, we're going to find a way to use resistance training. I don't dislike the gym at all. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't like a lot of the people that are in there, but I much prefer, even when it's cold, shitty outside, whatever, I'd prefer to go outside and find a way to work out. If you watch any of my videos, social media, I'm constantly posting things about my outdoor activities. Yeah, and I find parks all over the place, and there's parks everywhere to get training in. You can do a ton of resistance training at any park you find. And honestly, you don't really need one. There's plenty of body weight stuff you can do. But find something that you like. Like if you love being outdoors, find a way to incorporate that. If you hate it, yeah, go inside. Find a way to stay inside. But one of the keys is doing something that you look forward to, not dreading, because we're just not wired that way to continue to do that. There are some people like David Goggins or Jocko who purposely do shit that sucks every single day to get out of their comfort zones, but those guys are very few and far between. And so most of us are we're wired for comfort, and we want to stay within our bubble. And yeah, we have to get out of it, but at the same time, let's look at reality. So find something that you enjoy. All right. Number 3, schedule your workouts into your day like you would anything else, like an appointment, a doctor's appointment, a meeting at work, whatever. Put it in there. And then seriously stick to it. Like just commit to yourself. And this is part of where self-discipline comes in. But yeah, you have to stick to it. Don't make it flexible like anything else. Say, yeah, from 12 to 12:30 every day, half of my lunchtime, I'm going to do X. I'm going to go train. I'm going to go work out. I'm going to go outside to the park, whatever it is. And that's it. That's it. It means that simple, really. Just schedule it. Next up, I will say that a lot of people and guys are put off by the fact that they still think they need to spend just an inordinate amount of time in the gym to see results, right? I've seen guys, in the gym for hours and hours doing shit. And when you're younger, that's fine. I used to spend an hour and a half or so in the gym, and that was fine. But when we get older, 30s, 40s, 50s, it's counterproductive too. We just don't need to beat our bodies down. We've already done that to ourselves over the years with sitting and being sedentary for so long for a lot of us. Desk jobs, commutes, that we've already done quite a bit of damage to our bodies. So we don't need to just beat the hell out of ourselves for hours in the gym, right? It's just training to failure, stuff like that. Just not needed. You can do it, but it's just not needed. But more importantly, honestly, a lot of my workouts, a lot of the programs that I write, the individual workouts or the challenges that I do or write, they're 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and sometimes even shorter, sometimes 15 minutes. If you have a well-structured program that just focuses on, compound movements, metabolic training principles, you can be extremely time efficient with your workouts. You can, work all your muscles, you can work them hard, and you can be done within 20 minutes. It's true. Ideally, most of the strength workouts that I do or program are 45 minutes or so, which isn't a ton of time. But yeah, there's a lot to be said for short, intense workouts, 20 minutes. So just recognize that, right? I'm not saying that there's a best way to do that necessarily, but I'm saying you can get tremendous benefit from training 20 minutes a day, 3-4 times a week. Okay. And I want you to think about this too, right? So when you say, I don't have enough time, just remember, you have a significant other. You have kids. You're already doing shit with them all the time, right? Whatever it is. Why not just build the activity into the time you're already spending with your family? It's kind of common sense, but, I would say, well, I'll tell you a few things. So, I have my kids week on, week off, so I have them for 7 days, and I don't have them for 7 days. So the 7 days I'm with them, I want to just spend as much quality time, right? I want them, but I also want them to see the benefit of living an active lifestyle. So we do a lot of active stuff, but, for those guys that maybe not have the places to do that, or, for whatever reason, you're not doing that, you can do a couple things like build an obstacle course. Have just some ropes and bars and ladders, like ladders, like agility ladders, bands. There's a whole bunch of stuff, medicine balls, that you can have fun with and build little mini obstacle courses. We've actually done challenges at like play sets, playgrounds, where we'll time each other doing like American Ninja Warrior type stuff. I got to cross these monkey bars over down the slide, up this way, down over here, step over this, jump over this, that kind of stuff. And it makes it interesting. So it's not like, hey, go do a bunch of squats and pull-ups. It's, hey, let's have some fun. Let's see who can get the best time getting from here to there. And, you go first. And then I'll film it, on my phone, and we'll watch it, and, we'll time it. And it's just fun. But that's just one way that you can incorporate some training into your time you're already spending with your family, right? A lot of us think, we're just going to go sit at a park, or we're going to go to lunch, right? But, there's always time to get out and do something that's far more active. I mean, a lot of us feel like we're being selfish by taking gym time for ourselves. Like, I leave the house at, 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't get home until 6:30 at night. I can't just say, hey, I'm going to go to the gym for an hour and then just neglect your wife and your kids, right? A lot of us think that way. And I'm not saying that it's right to just turn around and leave the house and say, okay, see ya, right? I mean, that's not cool either. Then that's actually kind of a conversation for a different show, because I have a lot of specific thoughts about that. But I'm saying is incorporate your family. Don't feel like it has to be one or the other, because it's not. It's not like, I have to go to the gym for myself and they have to stay here. It's, let's just find a way to make it all work together. Okay. Number 6, I would tell you, and I'm not going to make any friends saying this, but cut out watching fucking sports. That's one of the first things that I cut out of my life when I started working for myself, and I just didn't have a bunch of time, right, to waste. Because literally, to me, again, and there's 1,000,001 football fans, NFL fans, baseball nows in season. To me, it's an incredible waste of time to sit around and sit on your ass for 3 fucking hours watching grown men throw a ball around. And I love sports. I've been in sports, part of my sports my whole life. I love sports. Kids are in sports. I just think that it's an incredible waste of time, because there's so much more we could be doing. And I'm not saying you should be getting off your ass and going to train. There's a million things you could be doing that are more productive than sitting watching football. But also, at the same token, cut out the television, Netflix, electronics, your games, right? Cut a few corners there, and you will find time to train. I mean, it's definitely there, because I forgot the stat. I should have looked it up before I started recording this, but it's some crazy amount of hours that the average American spends watching television per week. I don't know if it's 20 or 30 or 40 or something crazy. It's something insane. But, most of us, actually, I'm sure almost everybody listening to this says, no, that's not me. I only watch very little. But if you added it up, you'd probably realize you're spending a lot more time with electronics, with media, and sports. I mean, you watch one game on any given day, it's 2 to 3 hours, right? I've known guys, I've had friends that would spend entire Sundays sitting in their basement drinking beer and watching football, right? And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying, in my opinion, it's an incredible waste of time, and you can use that time better. And if you're struggling to find time to train, that's a perfect opportunity. Number 7, I will say hiring a coach, a trainer, whatever, somebody to help you manage your time better, to hold you accountable. So you hire me, for example, to work with you for 8 weeks, for example. All right, you pay me a bunch of money. Do you think you're going to be more likely to find time in your workout when I send you the email that says, this is what you need to do, this is when you need to do it, this is how you have to do it? I expect, you're going to follow this program. You're paying me for a reason. Yeah, of course you are, right? Seriously, think about it. You don't have to go to those extremes of going out and spending a ton of money hiring a trainer or coach, but think about the fact that how easily you're going to find extra time in your day if you put your money on the line. It's going to happen, and it could be as simple as going to your office and everybody throws in, $20, $100 into a pool, or you bet, with your buddy, yeah, you're much more likely to get after it and find time when there's some money at stake. Where are we at? Number 8, I would say use apps. So again, I'm not a huge fan of spending a ton of time on your phone, but there's a million apps out there, a lot of which can help you. And so even simple apps like a pedometer, a MyFitnessPal where you're tracking food, things that are going to help keep you accountable are going to help keep you on track. So some people, including myself, love metrics, numbers. My girlfriend has an Apple Watch, and every day she's looking forward to closing her rings. I still don't even know what that is, but she closes her exercise rings, which is a win for her every day. And so that's her accountability. So yeah, she's finding time. Like, she's busy as shit. She's got a super long commute, and she's exhausted when she gets home, but she finds time every day because that's important to her, is closing those rings. And she's got other friends that she's doing these little challenges with week to week that's what she wants to do. Like, that drives her to keep going forward. And so that's good. Find something like that for yourself. I'm not even going to get into the apps. There's just so many out there. But whatever it is that kind of keeps you interested and engaged, whether it's a community or it's I'm going to beat yesterday's step count, whatever. Use something like that to hold you accountable. I will say take a hard look at your schedule. So, you already know that you're busy, right? I mean, you're looking at your schedule. I've got mine in my phone, but I want you to try this exercise. Spend the next week or a week writing down how you spend your time. Like, exactly. Well, I was here. But if you go hour by hour every day, you're going to find, I guarantee you're going to find not an extra 15 minutes to work out. You're going to find hours that you're pissing away. Somewhere, somehow. Almost every person listening to this is going to find a shitload of time in their day. If you're honest with yourself, and this only works if you're honest with yourself, you're going to find more than enough time to train every day if you really count the time that you're, what you're doing. Like, well, I kind of spent some extra time. I sat on the toilet for a half an hour playing a game. Then I, kind of zoned out after dinner for a half an hour here. I took an extra long break. You just have to go through it every day. But seriously, write it down and then just look at it, review it. Man, holy shit. You probably actually find how little work you're doing at work anyway. Oh shit, man, because I was actually just like that for years. Anyway, another time for that story. But anyway, yeah, seriously, try that exercise. It's really important, and it does work. And lastly, I'll tell you, and you may think this has nothing to do with training, but clean up your diet. Like, get really, really focused on your nutrition. And it sounds like, well, what are you talking about? Well, you're going to be amazed at how you seem to find time once you're already doing most of the work with your nutrition, right? And what I mean by that is working out is the easy part. Finding some time, just training, that's the easy part of getting fit. The hard part is controlling what and how much you put in your mouth every day, day in, day out, week after week, month after month. So if you committed to cleaning up your diet, let's say you're eating the typical American diet right now, and you just commit to just no more processed foods, no more sugar. I'm going to cut out alcohol for a while, and you stop eating all the useless calories, bread, pasta, stuff that really has no nutritional value but a ton of calories, and you just focus on whole foods, lean meats and eggs and fish and, fruits and vegetables, stuff like that, like just basic healthy foods. Right? But if you really clean it up, you really commit to it, how likely are you going to be to start finding that time to complement what you're already doing with your diet with exercise? Pretty good, right? Because you already know that those things have to work together, right? I think nutrition does most of the heavy lifting there, but exercise is still a critical piece of this. You have to overload your muscles. You have to progressively overload your muscles in your body. And so if you're feeling good, like, your energy is going to go through the roof once you start cleaning up your diet. You're going to start feeling good. You'll start dropping weight. You're going to start getting leaner, feeling good about yourself, right? Of course, you're the next thing you're going to want to do is exercise and train, lift heavy weights, get some muscles going, right? Let your chest pop a little bit, get those biceps bigger, pop those quads a little bit, right? Start seeing maybe a faint outline of your abs that you haven't seen in 25 years. You're going to want those things. And when you want it, and again, this goes all the way back to my very first point here of finding an emotionally charged reason to train, right? You're gonna seriously want to train. And so when you really want something, what happens? Yes, you're gonna make time, right? You're just gonna make time. So anyway, guys, that's all I have to say about that today. There's nothing on this list that you can't do with relative ease. So seriously, please just stop making excuses. Start making time. I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, if you want more information, check out the Fit Dad Basecamp group on Facebook. And don't forget to stop by fitdadnation.com. Until next time, keep kicking ass and taking the next step. You can do this, Dad.